The rise and fall of Zion Williamson is one of the NBA's most frustrating sagas. At one point, he was billed as the next LeBron James, a generational talent destined to dominate. But now, his name is synonymous with unmet potential, injury woes, and questionable dedication. Why has Zion become the poster child for disappointment, and how did the New Orleans Pelicans hitch their hopes to a player who can't seem to stay on the court? Let's dive in. When Zion burst onto the scene at Duke, he was electric. A walking highlight reel, throwing down windmill dunks, grabbing offensive rebounds like prime Charles Barkley, and showing defensive prowess with jaw-dropping blocks. Scouts compared him to legends like Barkley and Shawn Kemp, envisioning a future where he'd rewrite the NBA record books. His dominance in college basketball was so absurd it felt inevitable he'd change the trajectory of whichever team drafted him. The Pelicans were that lucky team, landing the number one pick in the 2019 draft. But instead of a franchise savior, they got a cautionary tale. Zion's NBA career began with a torn meniscus, sidelining him for months. Fans and analysts were willing to be patient, citing his unique build, 285 pounds packed into a 6 feet 7 inches frame, as both his blessing and curse.
Now juxtapose that to Zion Williamson, who looked fat, out of shape, unfocused, lethargic, and blasé.
He was a physical marvel, but could his body withstand the rigors of an 82-game season? In Zion's rookie season, his talent shone through. Averaging over 22 points per game on historic efficiency, he became the first rookie since Michael Jordan to post such prolific numbers in limited games. The potential was undeniable, but questions about his weight and durability lingered. Zion dismissed these concerns publicly, claiming he trusted his close circle and team staff. Yet his actions painted a different story. The following seasons turned Zion into a meme rather than a messiah. Each summer, photos and videos would surface of him looking ripped and ready to dominate. Every time, fans thought,
Ja Morant is going to be something special. He's a consolation prize. R.J. Barrett, consolation prize. Cam Reddish, consolation prize.
this is it. Zion is back. And every time, the story played out the same. Zion would look fantastic for a few weeks, put up incredible numbers, and then he'd disappear. Injuries piled up. His body betrayed him, or maybe he betrayed his body. Over the last 6 years, Zion has missed more games than he's played. A staggering 227 games missed compared to just 190 played. For a player hyped as box office gold, this is a devastating ratio. Imagine building your entire franchise around someone who's available less than half the time. That's what the Pelicans have endured. What makes Zion's situation even more frustrating is his apparent lack of accountability. Critics have questioned whether he truly loves the game. J.J. Redick, his former teammate, described him as a detached player. And when the Pelicans traded for C.J. McCollum, Zion didn't even bother reaching out to welcome him to the team. Actions like these fuel the narrative that Zion's focus and commitment are lacking. Then there's the weight issue, which can't be ignored. At his heaviest, reports surfaced that Zion tipped the scales at over 330 pounds. For a player whose game relies on explosive athleticism, carrying that much weight is a ticking time bomb. The Pelicans even inserted weight-related clauses into his max contract, an unprecedented move that screams desperation. The team essentially bet nearly $200 million on the hope that Zion could maintain his fitness. So far, it hasn't paid off. What's worse is the ripple effect on his teammates. Brandon Ingram, C.J. McCollum, and the rest of the Pelicans roster have shown up, ready to compete. But year after year, their efforts are derailed by Zion's absence. Last season, when the team looked like a contender during their first 29 games, Zion's injury turned them into a middling squad again. The Pelicans went from playoff hopefuls to another season of mediocrity. Fans of the NBA often wonder why viewership is down. The answer isn't some mystery, it's players like Zion. He's a marquee name, yet his unreliability makes him a liability.
Is it hard to diet at your age?
Sheesh. Since it's you, I'll be real. There are times when I will say that, man, that shit hard. It's hard, man. Like, you 20, 22, got a lot of money. It feel like all the money in the world, man. It is hard, but
The league thrives when its stars are on the court, making moments that resonate. Zion hasn't delivered those moments. His most iconic highlights come from college, not the NBA, and yet the Pelicans keep hoping. They have no choice, really. Zion is a unique talent, and when he's healthy, he's a top-tier player. But the reality is, Zion Williamson has become the anchor dragging this franchise down. If he can't stay on the court, he might not just eat himself out of the league, he might take the Pelicans with him. What makes the Zion Williamson saga even more painful is the fleeting glimpses of greatness. During his sophomore season, Zion was an unstoppable force, averaging 27 points per game with unprecedented efficiency. He even broke records, posting 25 consecutive games of 20-plus points on over 50% shooting, surpassing Shaquille O'Neal. He earned his first All-Star selection at just 20 years old, confirming what everyone already knew. When Zion plays, he's a game changer. But that's the problem. When he plays is the operative phrase. The Pelicans have built a team capable of contending in the loaded Western Conference. With players like Brandon Ingram, Trey Murphy, and Herb Jones, plus the veteran presence of CJ McCollum, the roster is well-rounded. Yet all these pieces hinge on Zion being available. Without him, the team struggles to find an identity, consistently finishing outside of playoff contention. It's no wonder frustration has grown among fans and analysts alike. But Zion's availability isn't just about injuries, it's about discipline, or lack thereof. Reports of his weight ballooning to 330 pounds while recovering from injuries have become commonplace. Foot and knee injuries are already a nightmare for big men in the NBA, and carrying excess weight only exacerbates the issue. Zion's hamstring injury last season was supposed to sideline him for a few weeks, but it ultimately kept him out for the rest of the year. This isn't an isolated incident, it's a pattern. Even more troubling is how Zion handles adversity. His response to weight concerns? A shrug and a canned answer about trusting his team. His attitude toward fans and teammates? Detached, as J.J. Redick bluntly put
How do
it.
you feel when people try to make your size and your weight an issue? I know that's something that's talked about constantly with you. How do you feel when you hear that kind of stuff?
Everybody is entitled to their own opinion, but I'm just going to stick to the opinions to the people closest to me and my team.
When Zion is supposed to be the face of the franchise, these aren't just minor red flags, they're glaring warning signs. A player of his caliber should be setting the tone, not leaving everyone else to pick up the pieces. The Pelicans aren't blameless in this situation. Signing Zion to a 5-year max contract worth $195 million, albeit with weight clauses, was a massive gamble. They knew what they were getting into, but likely felt they had no choice. How do you let a potential generational talent walk? Unfortunately, that gamble has only deepened the team's dependence on a player who's rarely available. And let's not forget the optics. Zion, who has faced years of criticism for his weight, became the face of a Mountain Dew campaign, sitting on a couch, playing video games, and drinking soda. The backlash was immediate and justified. How could someone so criticized for his fitness think this was a good look? It's moments like these that make you question Zion's self-awareness and priorities. The 2023-24 season was supposed to be different. Zion showed up to training camp in great shape, reportedly weighing 281 pounds and looking like his Duke-era self. For the first 29 games, the Pelicans thrived. Zion played like an MVP candidate, averaging 26 points and leading the team to a 7-game cushion above 500. But just as fans started to believe, the cycle repeated itself. Another injury. Another season derailed. This is where the Pelicans find themselves today, locked into a marriage with a player who's as unreliable as he is talented. Zion's recent social media posts, flaunting tattoos while looking heavier than ever, have only fueled speculation about his commitment. The Pelicans have to ask themselves hard questions. Can they build around someone who's only played 45% of their games? Should they explore trades, even if it means accepting pennies on the dollar for a player with immense potential but no consistency? The sad truth is, Zion Williamson's story mirrors that of Ben Simmons, a player who rose to prominence quickly, only to crash just as fast. But while Simmons' downfall was tied to his mental game, Zion's collapse is largely self-inflicted. He has all the tools to be great, but greatness requires effort, sacrifice, and accountability. Until Zion proves he's willing to embrace those qualities, his career will continue to frustrate fans, teammates, and the league as a whole. Zion's future in New Orleans, and perhaps in the NBA, hinges on a simple decision. Will he finally take his conditioning seriously, or will he become another cautionary tale? The Pelicans are running out of time and patience. At this point, so are the fans. If Zion doesn't turn things around soon, the question won't be, can he save the Pelicans? It will be, can he save himself? And there you have it. The stark reality of a superstar who's letting it all slip away. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more unfiltered takes on the NBA's biggest stories. Stay tuned, because the Zion Williamson saga is far from over.